Hello everyone, my name is Sam or Cassava TV, Cassava Gaming. I have some news here today about some stuff to do with League Classic. So it's starting with, there was a lot of obviously controversy about something about how if you bought a skin 10 in 2010, like an old skin, like well, some of the old skins from that era, you had to rebuy them in League Classic or something. So what's happened is Riot have gone back on that, and they've announced in this tweet that they've heard the feedback and they will grant people the chromas for free. So that's good news for anyone who owned skins from back then, as I did. Now the second part of the news, this is a little bit older, but some information on the new champions being released. So this is from Skin Spotlight. So it will be Akali, Kennen and Shen will be released in the next patch for League Classic. So obviously, Expetu is going to be quite happy about that, I'm sure. And as we all know, he loves theory crafting and builds and stuff. So I'm sure he'll really enjoy playing League Classic. So just a couple thoughts on that. There is a big difference between the Season 1 champions, I've noticed, Season 2 champions, and Season 3 champions, and the original ones. Like the assassins and stuff, like Talon, Zed, LeBlanc. It's quite different, right? So it'll be interesting to see this version of League Classic as opposed to I think it's the original beta champions, right? Some of these newer ones coming through, and obviously there'll be many more. So it'll be good to see what happens. Now the third thing that has happened recently is Riot Games have announced as of yesterday, the 3rd of August, that they have changed their esports community guidelines on tournaments, so making it easier to run and organise tournaments. So have a quote here. "We are making it easier than ever to organise League of Legends community competitions. Our updated global guidelines remove outdated restrictions, streamline licensing into a single community competition framework, and reduce restrictions on entry fees, sponsorships, prize pools, and spectator fees. In most cases, organisers will no longer need to wait for Riot approval to run an event. Follow the guidelines, submit your competition, so on and so forth. Whether you're organising a local LAN, a college tournament, or an online bracket, these guidelines are designed to support community competition across the evolving League of Legends experience, including Summoner's Rift, ARAM, Arena, League of Legends Classic, and future experiences. You are free to organise League of Legends competitions at nearly any scale, whether that's a local LAN at your PC cafe, a school or university, an online community competition, an open bracket, or a larger invitational event. We want to support community competition across League's growing ecosystem of game modes, including Summoner's Rift, Arena, League Classic, and future experiences." This is terribly interesting because it marks the end of an era and a massive pivot away from their original intentions with the LCS and whatnot, the original closed circuit. So before 2013, if anyone doesn't know, there was what's called an open circuit, I believe, which is where basically similar to Counter-Strike and I think Dota and some other esports competitions, where tournament organisers just ran tournaments, so IEMs, dream hacks or whatever, that sort of thing. And teams could just go to the tournaments or not, and obviously some were considered more important than others, so you'd have minor tournaments and major tournaments and whatnot. But Riot, for better or ill, decided that they wanted to do a closed circuit, so forcing the LCS system, so anyone that tried to wanted to run a tournament outside of that just weren't allowed. Basically, there were a couple IEMs I think in 2015, but beyond that, not really anything. So this is obviously a massive change. So I have no idea what this is going to look like, but it could be really cool. I wonder if there'll be a real esports scene with League Classic. Hopefully some LANs and stuff. I never went to any LANs. They sounded super fun for other games and whatnot. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think it's really positive, and it shows that Riot are... It appears they're trying to revert the esports scene back to how it was in the older days, where a lot of people preferred it, right? And I'm sure a lot of people prefer it now, but it's a change, so that's quite interesting. Now, the fourth thing that has happened is Riot. So there's a journalist with the UK Esports News UK called Craig Robinson, who went to a press release about League Classic fairly recently and asked a few questions about strategies and whatnot, and what Riot's opinions are on different strategies. Because obviously, as we know, in the modern game, they seem to have an idea in mind of what they want the game to play like. So they're very happy to ham fist and hard code and break certain metas. So the mage bot meta they're trying to break up right now, for example, and the lane swapping meta they put in the, I can't remember, but that thing, just the lane swapping stuff that happened last year, and obviously the role quests, so on and so forth, they've added into the game. So regarding League Classic, I have a quote here. So the journalist Craig Robinson, he asked, "Are there any balance concerns that old pro strategies may come back, like lane swaps with towers having drastically lower defensiveness than live, top, and jungle co-farming?" Except I remember, off the top of my head, in Season 1 or 2, you'd have a thing where, like, the top laner, if they had a bad matchup, they'd, like, jungle with the jungler for a bit, and they'd take, like, 2 small wolves, the big golem, and, like, 2 small wraiths, and then I don't remember why, but they did something like that. And then also, I remember in Season 4, I think it was, right at the start, they had a thing about teams just lane swapping and pushing towers and stuff. I remember Jinx was in Prio because she'd just take the towers really quickly, stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see what Riot either do about all this, obviously, because we have the modern tools of AI and there's a lot more communication on YouTube these days. So regarding the question, a quote from Riot Games is they don't want it to get too out of hand. They also went on to say, yeah, they don't want things to get too out of hand. They like the idea of classic stuff remaining in the game, and they want to make sure League Classic stays fun for you and fun for your opponents. So whatever that means, right? Presumably a little bit of balancing and whatnot. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And the presentation revealed the idea of bringing back old philosophies, old fun, old one-shots, old snowballing, and old outplays. People remembering, that's what they said, people remember the old times for these crazy build strategies and other random things that come from that era. So it seems like they want it to be quite loose and open, right? Obviously, they don't want it to just be completely broken, but yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to see how hands-on Riot are, how hands-off they are. They want to do some sort of old-school RuneScape, like tribunal system or whatever, where they do player voting, I think, for certain changes. I have no idea what that's going to look like. It'd be interesting to see. But it does appear that they very much want the game to be quite loose and player-driven and whatnot. Now, considering this as well, as far as I could tell with the latest PBE update, there's some very, very basic changes. Basically only small changes to Ashe and Olaf, so not really much at all. Well, I don't know what that means. Maybe that means they don't want to change the game at all. Is it just this patch? Who knows, right? But that's something that's happened, so we'll see going forward how much they do on the PBEs and whatnot. But I think all of this is rather interesting because it shows that Riot kind of they just want it to just exist, right? To see what happens, and people do their own tournaments and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not they actually do that. If, I don't know, proverbially there was some sort of an esports scene that became very lucrative and whatnot, would they suddenly change their mind? I don't know. What if League Classic massively blows up? Will they who knows, right? It'd be interesting to see. Now, personally, my experience, I've played a fair few games now of League Classic. There was a lot of talk of like, oh, everyone's going to pick AP Scion and everyone's going to quit within 3 days and this, that, and the other. No one's going to play Castle. Castling's going to be broken. But I've not felt that at all. I don't know if it's just because people are just chilling out and stuff, but people are just playing the characters they want to play. They're playing them how they want to play. I've seen quite a few counter junglers, as is evidenced in this video, the gameplay video, the Blitzcrank, the Smite. I've not seen to, and I played against an AP Tristana, and I think I was playing Ari, or I can't remember who I was playing, but I was very strong as well, you know. I feel like it's much more a case of everything's broken so nothing is, right? Because even the strong broken champions like AP Sion or Master Yi, you know, Master Yi, okay, he's strong, but he can still get point and click stunned by a Vigar and one shot, right? Twitch on 6 items will kill Master Yi in 2 autos or something. That's just going to happen. So I've not really felt too many issues myself. I did notice, I think, one thing with Tryndamere. I'd like to see Tryndamere nerfed a little bit. I think it was a bit boring because he could just run at towers, but I've really not seen too much drama. And also, I think people are slightly misremembering because when Kassadin was turbo broken in, I think it was mid-late season 4, in my assessment or my opinion, that was because they had taken enough of the other really broken stuff out of the game by then. So I can't remember exactly, but I think LeBlanc's silence had been removed by then. Nidalee's spears had been massively reduced in damage as she'd been reworked. I think Vigar's stun was no longer instant. So when that happened, the remaining broken characters, like Kassadin, were turbo broken because there were no other broken characters to balance them. But I started playing in season 3, but from what I remember, people weren't complaining that much about these characters being turbo broken because everything was broken, right? It was just crazy, right? You had Fizz one-shotting people, and then Elise would one-shot everyone, and then if a Twitch got to late game, he'd one-shot everyone if you let him live for longer than a second, and yeah, that seems to be how classic mode is, so we'll see how it goes, but it'll be interesting when the more mobility-oriented champions are presumably put into the game. I think they said Yasuo was the latest they wanted to add in. I'd like to see Volkos personally, but we'll see. But, you know, maybe a few others, Braun perhaps, I think there's many others other than that. Maybe Jin or something. Probably not, though. But, yeah, so when, you know, Zac, Thresh was pretty game-breaking when he was released. Kha'Zix, Elise, Zed, LeBlanc. Who knows, right? But we'll see. So that's all, and, you know, a lot of questions flying around about a ranked mode. People not taking it seriously. People taking the game mode too seriously. We'll see, right? See what happens. So thank you everyone for watching my video. Have a look at my other content. I upload shorts that I think are very funny, personally. I've done a couple videos about Anivia and stuff, my champion that I play, and you know, I'll be doing more videos on just random video games I play with my friends and that. So take care everyone. Have a nice afternoon or whatever.